Hey everybody, this is Joshua Butchram from Amani Advantage. I just wanted to share some quick information about RACI charts. The intention of this brief is to share a simple solution that entrepreneurs and organizations, large or small, could implement immediately for managing projects and personnel. So before I continue, let me give a quick introduction of who we are. My wife Tanja and I started Amani Advantage back in 2019 as a marketing consultancy to help small Black-owned businesses in our hometowns of Louisville, Kentucky, and Macon, Georgia. Uh, we're very family-oriented, community-driven. Been married for 9 years, 4 kids, and we're doing this all on the active duty military lifestyle. Currently in the U.S. Army, but have prior service in the Marine Corps. All right, what we'll be covering. What is project management? What are RACI charts? The power of delegation in building cohesive teams. So, why is this important? Why are we going over these topics? Over the years, we've witnessed a few common issues. Some organizations were poorly structured. Communication between teams were more of a blame game and micromanagement. We've seen this at a disgusting level that it actually halted any progress and discouraged true talent. Um, this is also a reason why great employees leave. All right. Even though we primarily will work to amplify one's marketing efforts, we're still OD practitioners and we're always involved with other departments. That way, the goals are aligned for the business or organization. Um, Sometimes it's harder because of the lack of communication. Sometimes it's actually an individual. But um, if you really go deeper into it, it's because the organization or business never had a system put in place that allowed people to collaborate with one another in the most seamless of manners. So, what is project management? According to PMI.org, project management is the use of specific knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to deliver something of value to people. All projects are a temporary effort to create value through a unique product, service, or result. Usually, projects include but not limited to the following: a start and end date, a schedule, a budget, a team, and a set of expectations that need to be met to achieve a desired result. I want you to pause for a moment and think about how you implement project management in your organization. So, some basic examples of projects could be the construction of a clinic to bring better access of healthcare, the development of a software for HR professionals. Just think about those projects that you're working on now, because I hope to bring a little bit more clarity in the next segments. Here it is. What are RACI charts? Have you heard of the following before? It takes forever for a decision to be made. That's not my responsibility. Or who's in friggin' charge of this? Sometimes it goes beyond hearing that, and then we just see somebody with a permanent face palm. All right, so there's audio and visual clues to this going on. But no matter what, if you hear those things, if they're present in your team, most likely the project is struggling. Um, and that's due because of a lack of clear roles and responsibilities. And that is where a RACI chart comes in. It's a very simple, effective, and it's also a visual tool to help solve that. All right, a RACI chart or matrix is a diagram that identifies the key roles and responsibilities of users against major tasks within a project. All right, so the R in RACI stands for responsibility. A is accountable. I've also seen people use authority. I prefer saying accountable, but the people that do use authority, it's a very clear and distinct term because some people are confused over the word accountable. All right. C is consulted, and I is informed. So going into a little bit more depth into those into that acronym. So R uh, for the folks that are responsible. This is for the people that are doing the task, and there's at least one person doing it. Whoever's involved is going to do the actual work. All right, so they are the people doing the task. A, uh, they're the people that are accountable for the success of the task. They're usually the decision maker and will serve as the final reviewer before deeming the task complete. It's a great practice to have one person in this category for a task, hence why some people will substitute accountable with authority. All right. Consulted. Who needs to be consulted for details and additional info on requirements? This can be a person, and depending on how big the organization is, most of the time it's a team of consultants, but you don't want to have too many. All right. Um, but this can be that expert, that subject matter expert, uh, where their insight is valuable to the overall success. And then informed, someone that needs to be in the loop or informed of major updates. This is typically senior leadership. They don't need to know the finer details of the task, but need to know if a task is delayed, in progress, complete, etc. Another thing, informed can also be the client. All right. Um, so, for one example, if we use this, let's say for a marketing agency, if a client needs a social media advertising campaign, then maybe the media buyer and a graphic designer and a copywriter would be responsible for the overall campaign. An account manager may be held accountable for completing this campaign. A marketing strategist may be consulted, and then maybe the CMO could be informed. Also, the client. All right. Um, of course, that's being very simple with it, but that's the basic concept. Um, having, um, well, it brings up another point. This is another reason why titles in your organization are important because they do define the role and responsibility that somebody can fulfill. All right. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about those things. All right. The power of delegation. At its core, the RACI chart helps you set clear expectations about project roles and responsibilities. If you think about it, it does have an element of delegation. In the matters of organizational leadership, you shouldn't be everything yourself, or you shouldn't do everything yourself. Delegation is key to growth because it can help empower your team. All right. It can help build trust, and it will assist in professional development. Uh, so the barriers of delegation. It takes some time and error to be the most effective with delegation, but some of the early barriers for delegation is that uh, someone, whether a project manager or senior executive, uh, they may think that they can do it better or faster than everybody. Um, they may be scared to let go, or they just like to dictate. All right, this is where micromanagers come in. Delegation is a challenge for businesses and organizations at every size, but it can get tougher for solo entrepreneurs or startups that are on that growing path. So when do you delegate? All right, so look at your task overall. You can pretty much sum them all in 6 categories. Tiny, these are extremely small tasks that just take you out of the flow, like adding something to a calendar, booking a flight, etc. Tedious, very straightforward tasks. They're relatively simple, like copy and pasting data, making a spreadsheet with conditional logic, things of that nature. Time consuming, something that obviously takes a while to accomplish. All right. Teachable, something that you can teach someone how to do. Then there's terrible at, things that you're just not great at doing. I can draw a great stick figure, but don't tell me to draw anything more than that. All right. So I delegate those things, right? And then there's time sensitive. These are things that compete with the other, that compete with your other priorities, but have quick deadlines. In my opinion, this can be easily any task in those other five categories. It just adds the pressures of time. Um, I want you to think about this when you're making a RACI chart. It's not to exclude yourself from tasks, but the intention is for you to know the strengths and weaknesses of your team and put the right person in the correct position. Um, a customer service rep may not be the best graphic designer. All right. So putting that, putting a customer service rep being responsible for something like that uh, may work against you. All right. All right. So building cohesive teams. Right. Team cohesion aids in your overall success for managing projects and personnel. So, how do you go about building team cohesion? One, define common goals and understand the brand mission or vision. Um, when a team understands the ultimate vision, it can set direction of how the goals are to be achieved in the first place. Two, offer professional development. Every member should feel like their contribution is worthy. Sure, not everybody has the same skill level, but over time, someone can develop that skill set and can also cross train with others to enhance their value personally and professionally. Three, encourage team building. This can happen on or off work, virtual or in person. You just want people to be comfortable with who they're working with. Four, streamline communication. Let's make it easy for others to collaborate. I mean, that's the whole purpose of being on the team anyway. The easier it is for people to communicate, the better. Five, build trust. A team should have an open and honest relationship. Team members should be able to contribute their thoughts comfortably, and building trust can also deter groupthink, which is when people are constantly in agreement. All right, diversity of thoughts is amazing. All right, so sometimes you need somebody to say no. All right, and practice ownership. Celebrate success together, but also recognize any failures or challenges as a team. To have an effective team, your growth as a company should not be in the hands of a bunch of individuals. You do need collaborators. All right, so let's tie it all together now. If you're able to grab a pen or a piece of paper, something to just go over, a project that you're doing right now. Um, think about everybody or every role that's required for this project. All right, so let's look at this chart, for example. All right, using a RACI chart allows for senior leadership or project management professionals to balance a workload. Of course, you still need to know the strengths and weakness of your team members, but this visual tool can aid in that process. In this scenario, there are four members involved in this project. At first glance, team member four looks like they're at a more senior level, or a client, just to be informed for the task. Team member one has two tasks that are responsible for it, but if you notice on task number two, they have another teammate helping them. Uh, Team member number two has two tasks that they're accountable for and one that they're responsible for. This may be a potential issue depending on their strengths. This is where proper management of personnel comes in. Uh, if it does become an issue, there needs to be some flexibility so that others can assist or likely bring in another team member. Again, this is depending on skill. Um, Team member three has a decent balance of project workload with varying degrees of involvement. Um, and I'm putting this out there because I want you to look at this and like, especially when you're putting it under, your team members. Somebody shouldn't have too many R's, A's, or C's. You know, um, and that's the reason why that team member two could be a potential issue. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is, but I want you to look at that for your organization overall. Um, Even though it may look like team member four um, is just informed on this project, it doesn't mean that on another project that they're not tackling other tasks. All right, so make sure that when you build your RACI chart, make sure that you don't have somebody responsible for everything, or you got somebody that's accountable for a lot of things, and there's no um, I guess there's no collaboration. Or what if you had multiple people that said that they were accountable? That's confusing. So eliminate that. Have you know at least one person in the responsibility, one person in accountability, and then your consultant and your informed can be very flexible. But the accountability is very, very important. All right, you only need one decision maker, and we don't need too many A's or too many C's, because too many A's is now there's confusion, or too many C's. That's where they have what do you call it? The death by analysis paralysis. That's what it is. So just be very mindful of how you use the RACI chart. All right, so what we have learned what project management is, what RACI charts are and its use, the power of delegating tasks, and building cohesive teams. All right, so that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me via email or phone. I'm more than willing to have a in-depth conversation about organizational development, project management, or marketing. Thank you for listening, and have a blessed day.